If there is one image that can clearly show us how this health crisis has become an economic crisis in this country, it is this right here. The Pittsburgh Gazette captured video of hundreds of cards lining up for the Greater Pittsburgh Food Bank before it opened yesterday. Some waited 5 hours as volunteers distributed emergency supplies to 1,500 families. And then they ran out. Joining me now, the CEO of the Greater Pittsburgh Community Food Bank, Lisa Scales. Lisa, I imagine you've never seen anything like this.
We have not. This is certainly unprecedented, Katie.
How will you meet the demand?
Well, we have developed new and different ways to get food to people. And you just saw an example on the screen of one of our new no-touch, drive-up distributions. And that's one of the ways that we're meeting the demand. We're serving 1,000 cars at a time. We're doing these large-scale community food distributions, and we're serving many people who are newly unemployed.
What kind of people are lining up?
Many of the people who are lining up have recently lost their job. They're frightened. They're not sure that they will have enough food to feed themselves and their families. There's a lot of concern in the community about having enough food.
Are these people that have just lost their jobs? I mean, I guess the answer to that question is yes, because these lines would not have been so long. Are they people who were living paycheck to paycheck? Are they filing for unemployment? Are you hearing any of the stories?
Yes, Pennsylvania has one of the highest rates of unemployment filings in the country. So many of them are living paycheck to paycheck. I spoke recently with a woman who worked for a florist. We've seen people who work at fast food restaurants, but there are many people who had a decent income, and they've never experienced having to go to a food bank for food. And so this is certainly new for them.
How do people help? The ones that are going to watch this and they're going to see this line, they're going to say, I need to hold a food drive, or I've got to send this food bank all of the canned goods that I can find at my grocery store. You put a pause on food drives. Explain to me why and what the best way is for people to help if they want to get involved.
That's right. We have put a pause on our collecting food from food drives. We cannot ensure the safety of the food product that's coming to us from a food drive. Plus, the process of collecting food is community members coming together to put food in barrels, and people here in Pennsylvania are being encouraged to shelter in place. So we don't want to encourage people to contribute to going out into the community. So we have put a pause on that. What we've done instead is that we're making large purchases. We're purchasing food by the tractor trailer load. Many of those are shelf-stable items like tuna fish, peanut butter, pasta sauce.
Lisa Scales. Lisa, thank you so much for what you're doing and for getting food out to people who need it. We appreciate it here, and probably not half as much as the folks out in Pittsburgh appreciate it. So thank you very much for joining us, and good luck.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me, or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.